Hey everyone, Bill Sheridan here. I ran into Pat Croce at the CCH User Conference in Phoenix recently. Pat is a former owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. He's a serial entrepreneur who's just constantly reinventing himself and just about the most positive person I've ever met. So I wanted to find out what all of that means for CPAs. How can they reinvent themselves in an era of great complexity and change? And what does the power of positive attitude mean for them? What can it do for them? So I asked Pat all that. Here's what he had to say. So here's where the interview kind of gets difficult, like right off the start with question number one, Pat. I know there's a correlation between your experiences and the CPA profession, but I'm having a hard time articulating it, right? So you're a serial entrepreneur. You're constantly reinventing yourself, and CPAs are kind of watching their profession change right before their eyes, and are really struggling to figure out how to reinvent themselves as well. So I guess my question is, considering all that, what do you think is the first step toward reinventing yourself, to changing, how you serve your audiences, but staying true to your core values at the same time?
So I think the first step is realizing that relevancy is hard. Change is hard. You want to learn the latest techniques, the latest tools, the latest laws, whether it's Obamacare, IRS, tax codes. I think the whole key is to make sure that you're using what I believe, one word, an entire Japanese philosophy, Kaizen, continuous improvement. Each and every way, every day, try to improve yourself so that you can share that with your clients.
With that kind of philosophy in mind, what do you think leadership looks like today?
That's a great question, because I think leadership requires someone who can articulate vision and goals with passion, a passionate voice. And then what are those strategies and plans toward the achievement of those goals, communicating them clearly, concisely with their followers. If you want to be a leader, then you have to have followers. And most importantly, you have to walk the talk. Influence can't be borrowed, bought, or stolen, or loaned. You have to be able to demonstrate that you truly are a leader. Otherwise, followers, they know it right away. Boom, nothing else you say will mean anything.
And how about change? Now, there's a word that we hear constantly nowadays, things constantly changing. How does one stay relevant in a world that's just constantly changing and more complex today than it was yesterday?
But when you hear the word change, it's almost like a five-letter word, a four-letter word. It's a five. It sounds bad, but what you have to do is have the mindset of expecting success and let that permeate every cell in your body, from your facial expressions to your body language, to your speech patterns, to your posture, your personality, and you must embrace change. If you're fearful of it, you're just going to be status quo. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And change, whether it's the changing of gravity, you're aging, you're going to change. So you might as well embrace it, because fighting it is going to be a defeatist purpose.
And that kind of leads right into my next question. Where does attitude come into play with all this? I mean, doing the right thing is obviously important, but does feeling the right way have anything to do with this?
I'm a big fan of a positive attitude. I'm the prince of positive attitude, the count of carpe diem. I'm all about believing that a positive mental attitude is a powerful teammate in this game of life. That expectation of success, not just going after something and hoping or wishing or wanting or praying, but really expecting success when you're going after something or you're telling a client something, that this is really what you must do. And I think it requires listening, but more importantly, it requires a positive attitude. It's contagious. Optimism is contagious. Optimism breeds enthusiasm, which is contagious. But it all starts with a thought. Something I'll be talking about in the talk is, I think Emerson said it best: the ancestor to every action is a thought. So if it's not a positive thought, then what do you have?
Now, CPAs are all about serving others and solving problems. What are some of the basics of providing unforgettable customer service from your point of view?
Well, I think unforgettable customer service from a CPA's point of view starts with listening and caring, having an empathetic ear, really, because you have to listen to the concerns, questions, suggestions, issues of your clients. Because if they don't feel, what's the old adage? If they don't know that you care, they won't care what you know. So I think it's really important to have an empathetic ear, to listen, to really listen, okay? And then be able to communicate your solutions for their specific issues. And I think that's the most important thing. You have to have good communication skills. Yes, you have to have great math skills, But more importantly, CPAs don't know that they're on the stage. They're on the podium. When they're talking, they're Johnny Carson. They're there. They got to be on. So, but it requires communicating not exactly what they want to hear, but what they need to hear.
Yeah, we keep hearing a lot about the importance of those soft skills going forward. What do you think is, I mean, if you had to choose just one, the number one skill that business leaders need today, what would you say it is?
Bill, I truly believe, and I'll reiterate myself, the number one skill a business leader needs is communication. But it's got to be two-way. Not only to be able to talk clearly and concisely and contagiously, but also to listen. It's a two-way. That's all communication. And in these time of digital and social media and everything's synapses are so quick, you have to be able to respond and reply in a timely fashion. So, but if you can't listen, then how can you answer? 50% of every solution is defining the problem, so you have to listen to find out what that problem is so that you can, all of a sudden now, if you're a great listener, you can concoct a solution, and then if you can communicate it back, then you have a client for life.
And here's kind of an interesting thought. I mean, we've talked a lot about what leaders need to do, but you mentioned followers earlier on. What makes a good follower today? What kind of role do followers play in making their leaders great?
Well, that's a really tough question. Being a leader, it's hard to know or define exactly what a follower is, but the followers that I love to have who support my game plans, whether they're business plans or community initiatives or whatever that plan might be, is someone who goes at with a passionate attitude. I want everyone to take action on their passion, because if they're not taking action on their passion, they're just doing it for a paycheck. And now it might be my dream and goal, but I want them to embrace it, engage it, and really own it. And I think that's it. If a follower can own it and feel part of the team, part of the game plan, part of the bench, and be called into the game, then they get engaged. And I think passion, energy, enthusiasm, and obviously a good work ethic, because a follower has to have good work ethic. But if you take it a step higher, they're going to become leaders. But you know, it's like the Beatles. You take any one, four of them away, they're great. You put them all together and you got superstars. That's what you want your followers to be.
Pat Croce, thanks.
My pleasure, Bill.